Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Tech Motoring. Today's episode we're going to be going over my last month's solar bill, plus at the end we're going to be going over ways that you can save money on your electricity bill. So stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back everybody. Now if you already have solar, or if solar is something you're interested in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. I'll be doing a lot of videos on solar in the future, and if you haven't already checked it out, check out the playlist for my solar videos that I've already done. Now as you probably saw in my last video, the electricity company actually changed my billing cycle a little bit, and they actually ended up charging me for about 5 weeks of electricity last month. This month, they actually put me back onto the normal billing schedule. So I'm actually only getting charged for about 3 weeks this time. So we'll go over the numbers, we'll look at what we produced and what we saved, and we'll discuss what exactly we're looking at here. So let's look at the numbers. Okay, so the energy produced, which is the amount of energy I produced over the course of that 3 weeks or so. This is from the date range of August 10th to September 2nd. So in that time range, I produced 538 kilowatt hours of electricity. Now, out of that 538 kilowatt hours, I sent back to the electricity company 250 of those kilowatt hours. That gave me a credit of $10.40. Now, if you're not familiar with how much my electricity costs or how much I get paid for sending it back, you could take a look at one of the previous videos I'll link right here, and that'll tell you a better idea. But I'm paying about 11 cents per kilowatt hour for my electricity and about 4 to send it back, so almost a third. Now the amount of energy I used by solar immediately during the day I was using this electricity over the course of that 3 weeks was 288 kilowatt hours of electricity, and that turned out to be about $34.47 in savings, which means if you take the 288 kilowatt hours, multiply that by the 11 cents per kilowatt hour, it gives me about $34 in savings that I just saved right off the bat. The $34 in savings and the $10.40 in sending it back, immediately I'm getting about $45 in savings for the month. Now besides the $10.40 that I got credited, I also ended up having to pay those fees because I'm a solar customer. Once again, look at my previous video if you haven't seen that already, and this will be a better explanation. So the solar metering charge was $1.53 this month because it was only 3 weeks. The standby kilowatt charge was $19.37, which if you take those, add them all together and take out my credit of $10.40, I ended up having to pay $10.50 just for being a solar customer this month. Keep that in mind if solar was something you're interested in, that you may or may not have to pay these additional fees when it comes down to going solar. So what was the bill? Well, here it is. Here's the breakdown. I used from the electricity company 391 kilowatt hours of electricity at that 12 cents a kilowatt hour rate, which equals about $46.80. There's that customer charge fee that they charge you every month, which is about $14.95 for this 3 weeks of time. And then there's those credits that we were going over as well. They give you small credits every month for some reason, I'm not even sure. $4.27 for fuel adjustment, 84 cents for demand sales adjustment, 8 cents for economic development adjustment, and then of course the $10.50 that I had to pay, that was from the previous slide, for just being a solar customer. So my total bill for that 3 weeks was $67.06 for my electricity. For 3 weeks in August, that's pretty good. Definitely shows that I am saving money, as you saw before. Just the electricity that I used from my solar was over $30 in savings right then and there. So you can see where I cut my bill down by a third in that 3 weeks just because I'm solar. I have made some adjustments at home with the air conditioning to try to reflect a better savings, so that seems to be helping versus the previous month. So as we continue on, we're going to start seeing where this is going to continue to change as we go into the fall months where we're not going to use the air conditioning as much, and then we're going to get into the winter months, which we're going to start seeing the heat being used. We're going to start seeing some big changes in the bill. We're going to see how we do this year, and we're also going to see how we can adjust that thermostat to reflect better savings during the day while we have that sun up. So we'll take a look at that as we get closer to those months. So on today's episode, we're going to go over ways of saving money by changing your light bulbs. First, let's go over the savings that an LED light bulb can save you versus an incandescent light bulb, which is your old style light bulb that has the filament in it. We're going to go over the differences between those light bulbs and how much money it can actually save you in the long run. So let's get to it real quick, and we'll go over some numbers, and then we'll show you the different types of bulbs that you can get. Let's say you still have incandescent light bulbs in your house. Now, with that being said, here's about the average numbers that you can expect on your electricity bill from an incandescent light bulb. Now, based off of a 60-watt incandescent light bulb, if you have that light bulb on for 3 hours a day, it would cost you about $7.23 per year for that one bulb. Now, that may not seem like a lot. You're thinking, well, that's 3 hours a day, but that's one bulb. So you have to figure the average incandescent light bulb at 3 hours a day is going to cost you $7 a year. So let's multiply that number. Let's say you have 15 light bulbs. And if you have 15 light bulbs on at 3 hours a day, that is $108 a year that you're going to be spending just on those light bulbs being on for 3 hours a day. Now you're probably thinking, well, my house probably doesn't even have 15 light bulbs in it. Well, I just went around and counted my light bulbs in my house. I have 55 light bulbs in my house. 55. That's including lamps, ceiling fixtures, fan lights, bathroom lights, garage lights, outdoor lights. You have to figure all this stuff is going to add up. It's all going to be light bulbs. Now, if you have outdoor lights that you keep on for multiple hours a day, those are going to add up every single day. If you have those big floodlight bulbs in your kitchen that you have on for hours a day, they will add up and it will get expensive very quickly. So this is just based off of 15 light bulbs, $108 a year in electricity costs. That's over a course of a year. That's not so bad, right? Well, let's break it down a little bit more. If you were to use an LED light bulb like this one, this light bulb would cost you 96 cents a year at 3 hours a day. 96 cents. That's nothing compared to the $7 and change you would be spending with a normal light bulb, which means you'd only be paying about $14 a year for 15 of these bulbs to run at 3 hours a day. That is hardly anything at that point. Now, this is all based off an 11 cents per kilowatt hour rate. Now, where I live, I'm paying about 12 cents per kilowatt hour. Now, other places, they are paying double, maybe even triple that for that. So you figure if you are in an area where you're paying about 30 cents a kilowatt hour, that incandescent light bulb could cost you $20 a year to run. One bulb. So when you think about it, it could save you a lot of money in the long run to spend $1 or less on an LED light bulb. So that way you could figure out and do the math yourself how much money you can be saving based off of that. Now, your total savings between the LED bulb and the incandescent bulb based on these numbers would be about $94 a year. And if you divide that by 12 months, that would be roughly a savings of about $7.80 a month. Now, that may not seem too much to you. That's a cup of coffee for some people. However, when you think about that, if you're paying $150 a month for your electricity costs, that could be a 5% savings on your electricity bill. You can save 5% of electricity just by changing your light bulbs in your house. That's pretty decent. I mean, when you think about it, that could save you a lot of money over the course of time, especially since if you pay $1 for a bulb and it saves you multiple dollars over the course of the year, that's a good savings. That's not including the fact that these bulbs last significantly longer than your standard incandescent bulb. Also keep in mind that incandescent bulbs produce heat. That heat gets dispersed through your house and can cause your electricity bills to go higher because you have to run your air conditioning more to make up for that heat. Granted, it may not be a much, but it still does add up in the end. So if you're not very familiar with LED bulbs, they do come in all different shapes and sizes and for different purposes. So you have your standard bulb that you would use to replace majority of your lamps and light bulbs throughout your house. They also make the candelabra ends for your other types of lights, like your chandeliers or your ceiling fans. So they do come in different shapes and sizes based on what you need. Also have the can light replacement. So if you have those big lights in your kitchen, in the ceiling, in the cans, you can actually buy these to replace them. And it's only a fraction of the amount of electricity, and they will produce more light than your standard floodlight bulb that you would already have up there. And like I said, if you have 4 of these bulbs in your kitchen and they take 60 or 65 watts apiece, something like this can take between 8 and 15 watts, which is a significant decrease in electricity costs for having your kitchen lights on. So these can very greatly help your electricity bill in the long run. So keep that in mind the next time a light bulb goes out in your house. It is probably beneficial for you to go out and get an LED light bulb instead of your standard light bulb. Well, there you go, everybody. There's some ideas of how I'm saving money in my house using solar, and something as simple as changing the light bulbs out in my house. This is something anybody can do to save money, and it's not very difficult, and it isn't very expensive either. In the long run, these bulbs will actually save you a lot of money. And this is something that will be very beneficial in the future as the price of electricity does increase. Thank you very much for watching this episode today. Please subscribe to the channel, like the episode. Let us know in the comments if you have any questions about going solar or things that you can do in your house to save yourself some electricity. We'll be doing some more videos in the future to let you know what you could do to save some money in your household just by changing out simple things. So stay tuned for future episodes. Don't forget to catch us on Twitter at TechMotoring. We have a website, techmotoring.com, facebook.com/techmotoring. I'd like to thank you again for watching, and don't forget, welcome to the future, and welcome to Tech Motoring. We'll see you on the next episode.